You might have experienced this before, where you're reading an article or you're watching the news on TV and a scientist explains something but you just can't get it because it sounds so complicated. This is because scientists often work in silos and completely detached from the community. Obviously, this is a big problem and scientists have realized this. So today, I seek to answer a couple of questions. How can science be explained to someone like you and me? How can scientists involve communities within their research? And we also get to find out what's behind these three letters, PEX, PEX, because they might be the solution behind the problem. So I meet two amazing scientists who are already working on this. Pindile, hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, and yourself?
I'm good, thank you. So I'd like you to tell me what your research is about.
So I'm a PhD student, and my research is focused on wattles.
What kind of trees are they?
They are invasive, specifically the invasive wattles. In the grassland environment, when you see trees, it's actually a new thing. They are not supposed to be here. But specifically with the wattles, it's these ones that you see, they create these bushy areas. And once you chop them, it's like you are adding them to actually increase in that environment. I don't know if you can see properly that they have also altered the environment itself. That is why you find birds flying around and all of that, changing the ecosystem of the area.
So you speak of them being invasive, right? Is that like a bad thing for someone who doesn't know what is an invasive tree? What does it do?
So normally when we say something is invasive, it means that it's unwanted. It causes a nuisance. You know, it's annoying to have it because you can't control it. When you cut it, you find that it regrows. But one of the important aspects is that it changes the ecosystem, the soil composition. It changes everything within the environment, degrading our soil.
So you explained very nicely that they're invasive, but I also know you mentioned that the community uses these like for firewood and things like that. So how do you balance that? Like, how do you work around something like that?
That is why we are having community engagement aspect of things in my research involved, because we are trying now to look at the perceptions of the community. What do they think about them? How do they perceive them? Yes, they are invasive, but for them, have they identified any opportunities? Therefore, including communities, it becomes a very vital part of my research, where we are creating this common platform where we can share our perceptions as scientists along with the communities and try to learn from each other, and then also try to create solutions together that can work without raising conflicts of interest.
I know we're going to be meeting someone within the community you worked with, right? Mm-hmm. But before we get there, can you show me how you work with some of the things you work with in the field?
No problem. I can just show you one example of how we go about to trap within the wattle trees.
Okay. Let's go.
So Nontu, this is how a trap looks like. Normally we leave a trap underneath the bushy area where the wattles are found. Normally, as you can see, that this side it's open and the other side it's closed. This is just so that when the rodent enters, it triggers the trap and then it will close in.
Okay.
Yes.
Can we see what's inside?
Yes, you can see what is inside, but before that, ethically, we have to follow protocol.
Oh, right.
Yes, because rodents are known to have zoonotic diseases.
Okay.
So I will put on my gloves and my mask, and hopefully we got something.
Oh, so is there something?
No, there's not. We didn't catch anything.
So does that happen often?
Yes, it does happen often. I'm assuming that with the high rainfall that we're experiencing in the past days, maybe they have an impact.
Right.
But currently we don't have anything. But normally when we catch something, it's always like the four-striped mouse. That is the lucky one that we always know that definitely we would catch in the area here.
Okay. Hello, how are you? I'm good, nice to meet you. Seshaba, right?
Yeah.
So what is it like for you to work with a scientist, especially as a community representative?
Yeah. The university is like an information source, you know. It's like a resource for the community. So we benefit from their research. We know what to do and what not to do in as far as the environment is concerned.
How does the community feel though? Like, what is it like for them to work with Spindile as a scientist?
It's great because they've been very welcoming and very open, and they're learning a lot. The study that she's doing in terms of the black wattles and invasive trees, they're learning that these are invasive trees. Although they've got benefits in the communities, then we can then strike a balance so they know how to, you know, treat these plants within the community.
So, Spindile, what are some of the challenges that you faced, particularly with this research and with working with the community?
So one of the issues that we normally face is how you go about to organize and also try to approach the community. As we are here in the tribal courts, which is one of the ways that you just come and then you get permission. Sometimes they agree to partake in your research and sometimes they don't agree to partake, and it's okay. It's one of the challenges. Sometimes the person you plan with them to meet up with them and then they don't show up to your research. One of the challenges, also another one that I remember that I had with my supervisor being white, I had to now hold back because remember you have to also make the community to be comfortable on sharing the information which they are having, because this is part of the research that we are recognizing that they're also masters of some information that we need to incorporate in the research.
And I'm guessing cultural differences might play a role
Exactly.
as well. Yeah?
Exactly.
Okay.
That is one of the issues, as well as tribal differences. I'm Zulu, used to too, and it comes with, oh, why are you here? Why are you
Yes.
interested in this environment?
Especially if you can't speak the language, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Which is one of the things that I'll keep pointing out to why we need a convener such as Tichaba all the time, who is used to working with the community and making them comfortable in the room so that they are able to share all that you need to cover in your own research.
Sure. So why this particular community to work with?
So I chose Qwaqwa because it's in a grassland biome, of course, which is one of the areas that we have to conserve currently. It's decreasing drastically. And specifically Qwaqwa, it's because of the fact that we are having a lot of wattles. That is, over the years, it has been increasing drastically and we don't know why. You can see up there, the wattles, people are burning as well as they are using it for firewood, which is one of the reasons why we want to also see that with us controlling, as academia, scientists, we always want to control all the time. But how is the community reaping benefits from these wattles? As you can see that they are everywhere.
So basically that interaction or two-way communication is important.
Is important, especially for us because we come on the area of management and controlling all the time, which might give rise to conflicts of interest that we want to control, because wattles are invasive. They are not even supposed to be here. They have to be controlled. But we can't shy away from the importance of communities, that what if they have already identified the benefits. Like I pointed out and what Chaba also said, that they are using firewood. We have electricity issues in the area, which might also be a way of people sustaining their livelihoods. There are also some couple of areas around here where they are also selling them firewood, of which is also a sort of a business or way of making money, especially since it's a deprived environment.
And I'm assuming that in whatever solutions you might come up with as a scientist, it has to take care of the needs of the community.
Of course.
And also consider all these things that you've mentioned, like they sell, they make money out of this, they make firewood and all of that. Thank you very much. I really appreciate what you guys have just explained. It has helped me understand what's happening. But the rain is coming, so I think we should get going now.
Yeah, thank you.
So the rain has subsided a bit and I have learned why it is important for Spindile to collaborate with the local community. And what she does actually has a term, and the term is public engagement. Remember those 3 letters I spoke about earlier? PE actually stands for public engagement. So what I want to find out now is what the X stands for. Professor LaRue.
Hey, how
Nice.
are you?
I'm well, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
So I'm on a mission to try and figure out what a PEX stands for. So far I've figured out that PE stands for public engagement.
Yes.
And I want to know what the X stands for.
So the X is an exchange.
Okay.
Yes, and this exchange was between a bunch of South Africans, a bunch of Germans, as well as we had some Zimbabweans, and it was a lot of people interested in public engagement in some form.
What is your research?
I am a zoologist. I study animal behavior, but I'm very much a behavioral ecologist. So that means I'm interested in how animals engage with the environment around them. And of course, the environment is more and more being transformed by us. So you have animals that live in relatively wild parts of the world, and then animals that live in urban areas. You get those that adjust to farm life and things like that. So this is where my interest in the human element comes in, because we actually need to know what's going on in the spaces we created. What animals are there? Are we changing them? Are they changing us? Are we creating, what's the word, bad conditions that make it likely that fewer animals will thrive, or are we maybe creating conditions where the animals will actually thrive so much that they become a problem for us, and so on. So this is where I do research that brings in the human element, because you can't just tell people what to do. You need to find out from them what they suggest, what they think.
And I guess that's where the public engagement element comes in then. Okay, so why is it important for scientists to incorporate public engagement?
What we tend to think of as PE, as scientists, we think of it as science communication, which is what we're doing right now, actually. It's a one-way thing where somebody will one day hear what was being said, may take it or leave it, but there's no engagement.
Right.
Yes, there's no two-way.
Okay,
yes.
sure.
And for us as natural scientists, we have no training in how to work with people.
Sure.
Yes, we don't know how to get information from people, how to actually share that learning experience. It's actually becoming increasingly important for us as natural scientists to incorporate this humanities perspective, because otherwise we won't solve a single problem that actually matters beyond academia.
Right. So circling back now to that X on the public engagement exchange, what exactly does it look like from a practical point of view?
So this fellowship ran for a year, and it was this group of practitioners. We would regularly meet, say on a monthly basis. We would meet via Zoom calls, and every month we would be trying to learn a new skill. Because, as I said, engagement doesn't come naturally to scientists. It's not so straightforward. So we learned about different aspects of public engagement. How can we more naturally incorporate that into our workflow, which is really what the fellowship wants to do, is to, with us, co-create a way of more naturally including PE in the way we work as scientists. So we learned from each other. We also hosted some fellow-led sessions. This was all virtually. And then recently, a couple of months ago, the whole group came together in Berlin for a fantastic get-together where we actually met each other face to face. We already felt like we knew each other, like the minute that we found each other at the airport.
Nice. So it's a network then where I guess you encourage public engagement, you teach each other, learn from each other on how to actually incorporate this ground up way of doing science.
It was very good to learn from each other because everybody has a different solution, everybody's made different mistakes, and we could feed off of each other and get inspiration and practical tools.
So thank you very much for everything, for explaining to me as well what the X stands for, because I wanted to know what that stands for. Now I know it's Public Engagement Exchange, and I wish you all the best with the research you're doing with science and communities.
Thank you.
So now I know why it is so important for scientists to involve communities within their research. I also figured out what those three letters stand for, PEX. I really hope that there can be more of this public engagement so that scientific research can serve communities better.